In this video, I'm going to show you how to conduct requirements gathering as a business analyst with real-life examples. In the end of this video, you will have a good understanding of what is involved in identifying a user need, how to transform this user need into user stories, how to define acceptance criteria for these stories, how to clarify topics as a business analyst, then how to translate business requirements into functional requirements, and in the end, writing test cases for your requirements. If this sounds interesting to you, make sure to watch this video until the end. Let's get started right away. In order to understand what is involved in identifying a user need, let's imagine for a second that you are a business analyst working for an insurance company. This insurance company has front employees who are using an application to manage client relationships. With this application, the front employee is able to onboard a client. And let's also imagine for a second that this onboarding looks as follows. Basically, the front employee is onboarding the client by capturing several data and documents. Then a team lead has to approve that, and also compliance will approve this, and in the end, this onboarding is done. After completion, the front employee is able to sell products to the customer. But now, where is the business need? An onboarding can take up to 14 days. Therefore, the client has to wait 14 days until several products can be sold to the client. It should be possible to sell products earlier to the client, especially basic products which don't need any approvals. This is the business need. After understanding the business need, let's now have a look on how to capture a user story. Here illustrated, you can see the business analyst and the front employee, and the business analyst has the job to really find out what is the requirement of the front employee. So what does the front employee really need? And for this, the user story template is very often used in agile projects. The user story template is basically just describing a functionality in the following format. It always says as a, then the user role, I want to, then the capability of this functionality, so that, and then the benefit. Let's make a practical example on how to use a user story. So in our example, as a front employee, I want to be able to sell products to a client before the client's onboarding is completed, so that I can generate profits earlier and the client can enjoy the benefits of our products earlier. That's the user story based on the business need we just have clarified. Every user story is also backed with acceptance criteria. So the next step is to define acceptance criteria. Basically, the question is, under which conditions will the front employee accept the solution? That's the basic question, and acceptance criteria are the answer to this. If you just have again a look on the user story, by just talking to your front employee, it is possible that the following acceptance criteria could be listed. The first one could be, it is possible to start the sell insurance products process for a client who is not yet fully onboarded. So basically, if this is happening, the front employee says the solution is implemented. On top, another acceptance criteria could be, it is only possible to sell the following products to a client who is not yet fully onboarded. Product A, B, and C. Another acceptance criteria mentioned from the front employee could be, if the front employee is a certified financial advisor, then the front employee is able to sell the products A, B, C, and D. So these are the acceptance criteria. Now, if you have a look on acceptance criteria 3, it states if the front employee is a certified financial advisor, then we can sell product A to D. And the second acceptance criteria is not incorporating any condition, like if it's a financial advisor or not. So that is a missing requirement. So we can directly insert this to say, if the front employee is not a certified financial advisor, then it's only product A, B, and C. Alright, so now we have defined the business need, the user story, and acceptance criteria. Now we have to make some clarifications to really understand every acceptance criteria. Let's go with the first one, for example. I've just marked in red the parts which need more clarification. So what exactly is the sell insurance products process? How does it look? What exactly is a client on a data level? How does a client look like on a data level? And also on a data perspective, what does it mean to be fully onboarded? By having document analysis and also interviews, we can get the answers to these questions. The sell insurance products process, after having an interview, could be, for example, that you look up the client via a name, then select the client, select the products, enter details, submit it, and then you're done. Right, so we have a persistence to the database. This could be the process. Then the question, what is a client on a data perspective? Basically, it could be that the database has a table called clients and every client is in this database. And now the question, what does it mean to be onboarded? A client data object has an attribute called status. And if the status is equal to onboarded, then it means you're onboarded. If it's in onboarding, it means you're not yet fully onboarded. And now, for example, the third acceptance criteria, the question could be, what is a certified financial advisor on a data perspective? And the answer could be, an employee data object has a flag or an attribute called is financial advisor certified, yes or no. Alright, so after clarifying all these terms, now we have a good understanding what is the real requirement and how really it should look in the end. The next step after understanding all that is to translate them into functional requirements. Now you might ask, what do you mean by translating? So until now we only have requirements in the business language from the user perspective. And in order to implement them with software development, we have to make a translation. So we have from business language to technical language, which in the end the developer can implement. And that's the job of the business analyst to translate. So let's on the left side document the business language, so all the acceptance criteria on the left side. And for each, we want to have a technical requirement in technical language. If you have a look on the first one, as you remember, it is possible to start the sell insurance products process for a client who is not yet fully onboarded. That's business language. What could be the technical language? The technical language, in best case, should always start with the system shall. This is just indicating the functional requirement of a system. So the system shall allow the user to proceed the sell insurance products process for a client with client.status equals in onboarding. So that's the technical expression of the business language on the left side. If you want to do another example, for example the second one, this is about the financial advisor. It's just on the other side on the technical language that you have this user.is financial advisor certified yes. And also for the products with the ID of the product, so the developer knows which product to implement here. That's the translation between business language and technical language. So after translating, we are already here at writing test cases. Every requirement needs to be tested and therefore we need a test case. Let's again have one functional requirement that's here at the top. The system shall allow the user to proceed if the client status is in onboarding. And a possible test case could look as follows. The test case is describing the steps. So given a front employee starts this process and enters an existing client name, clicks on submit, and when a client was found under the client name and its status is in onboarding, then the system shall allow the user to proceed the process. This is the test case for this functional requirement. Of course, now we could write a test case for each requirement, but just to make this video pretty short, we will leave it like this, but now you know how to write a test case for each functional requirement. Now in order to sum everything up, let's have first a top-down view. In the beginning, we have this business need. Based on this business need, we can create a user story. And this user story is pretty short, so it needs to be backed up by acceptance criteria. These acceptance criteria need then to be translated into technical language, so we have a technical requirement. And for this requirement, we can have a test case. That's a top-down view. If you go bottom-up, it means every test case has to be linked to a technical requirement, which in the end has to be linked to a user acceptance criteria. And this criteria has to be linked to user story, and this ultimately has to be linked to the business need. And that's basically how you do bulletproof requirements gathering as a business analyst. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.